Hey, welcome back to Already Overbooked. And yeah, I hope everyone had a fantastic week. It's been a little rough on this side of the house. There's been a lot of colds and a lot of sickness going around. I was down and out for a few days. I was really concerned I wasn't going to be able to record this video. There was a chance, but I woke up this morning feeling a little bit better. So we're going to continue this show as normal. But if I sound a little bit off, I'm coming up. I'm trying to feel better from this cold. So fill up my coffee real quick, and then we'll jump in to this book ball. All right. So let's go through and jump into an update on the book ball giveaway. So just a little reminder, I was going to be going through giving away a copy of The Devils. This was a signed copy by the fantastic Joe Abercrombie, and it also came with a cool poster if I lost to the bearded book Beast on fantasy football. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I was a little bit arrogant, let's say arrogant, a little bit cocky for last week's game. And honestly, I kind of wish I wasn't, because I got my butt spanked. Chris came with a vengeance. That he came in and destroyed me and put me in my place. So yeah, I'm wish I wasn't as cocky last week because I ended up losing. I think it was like it was about 145 to the 34 or 84, 145 to 84. Very embarrassing. He kicked my butt. It was a great game. It was good. It was a lot of fun. But on the brighter side, my Eagles did beat his Lions, so I'll take that W. I'll lose this book. I'll lose this book as long as my Birds win. So it was a good. It was upsetting that I lost a book ball, but exciting that the Eagles won. So who really won? All right, so let's find out who's gonna go through and win themselves a copy of this fantastic book. So let's spin that wheel to see who wins. Wow. Congratulations, Kevin from Kevin Toll Reads. Kevin is fantastic. I'm so excited that you went through and won the signed copy of The Devils, and again with this fantastic poster. Kevin, let me know down in, you know how to get in contact with me. Shoot me an email, text me, and we'll go through and I'll get your information so I can go through and send you this book this weekend. So yeah, super excited. Congratulations, Kevin. I'm very, very happy that you ended up going through and winning this book. So this week, I am going up against a person who I did go through and compete with previously. I think it was like week 4. Not gonna get cocky with this one, but I'm going up against the great Timothy Wolf, and Timothy has been killing it this past few weeks. So he's probably has a big chance. I think we're like 50-50 odds of going through and winning this week. So it's really up in the air. But we're going to be going through and giving away a copy of his first book, Platinum Tinted Darkness, is book 1 of the Legacy of Bolam. So if you're interested in winning a copy of Timothy's books, just put Darkness in the comments below. So Darkness to win yourself a copy of Platinum Tinted Darkness. So yeah, good luck. Good luck, Tim. And then good luck to all of you if you go through and put Darkness in the chat below. All right, so let's jump into the books that I ended up going through and finishing this past week. I ended up going through and reading 3 books. And I know I mentioned I was only going to be really focusing on just one book, and that was Ordinary Grace by the great William Kent Kruger. But to be very honest, I ended up going through and finishing this book in like less than a day. So I started it in the morning and to finish it in the afternoon. But I love this book. This isn't the kind of book that you pick up for a quick, fun read. This is the kind of book you pick up for a thought provoking reflection. This book is so powerful and the story is going to stick with you for a while. I highly, highly recommend this coming of age gem. It was a perfect 10 to 10 for me. I loved it. I am so excited to have a conversation with Josh from the Reformed Reader to go through and discuss this book in detail in December. I think it's December 16th, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put it in the editing. I'll put it up here to confirm that's the actual date. But I'm also going to do a full review of this book because I feel like there is a lot of love, but I haven't seen anything recently. People going through and talking about this book, and I need to get my thoughts out there. I love this book. Go check out Ordinary Grace by William Kent Kruger. The next two books, it was ebooks, so I'll put the pictures up here. But the first one was Larry Correia's newest book, Academy of Outcasts. Now, this one, on the other hand, I know I mentioned Ordinary Grace wasn't a book to read for a fun ride. It's more thought provoking. Larry's book, Academy of Outcast, is that book if you're looking for a fun ride. This book is for those people who love Dresden Files, Doctor Strange, and the TV show The Magicians, with the tone of The Witcher. Let's add those. So Dresden Files, Doctor Strange, The Magicians, and the tone of The Witcher. This book is that perfect blend. This book hits the ground running with fast-paced storytelling. It was so much fun. I have so much thoughts about this book, and I'll also be doing a full review on this book as well. I'm not sure when it's going to go through and come out, but I got to get my thoughts together for this one. But I love this book. So much fun. Cannot wait till next year when book 2 comes out. But yeah, go check out Academy of Outcasts by Larry Correia. The final book I just went through and finished last night was Blackfire Blade by James Logan. Now, this was the most anticipated book of the year for me, as I loved Silver Blood Promise. And this time the crew is off to a city of spores, and they are trying to search for a bank to find out what happened with what was left behind by the father who passed in book 1. Non-spoilers, it was in the beginning. So just like book 1, this one is hilarious. It's engaging. It was very hard to go through and put down. And there were parts of this book that wasn't as good as the first one. So like in both of them, they had kind of like these side quests they had to go through before they got to like the main section at the end. You know, they had growing, they learned things, they met new friends in both of the books. I felt the middle part of the book was better in book 1, but the ending of this one was so good. Like the last 100 pages hit so hard, and I could not put the book down last night when I got to this certain section of the book. If you read it, you know what I'm talking about. It starts hyping up and it does not let go. It was so much fun, and that ending to this book was so intense, so WTF moment. I needed to know what happens next. It was such a cliffhanger, and I am super hyped to see what's going to come up. It is going to elevate the story even higher than before. So I love this series. It's becoming one of my favorite series that's currently being put out now. So James Logan is a rock star. If you've read Silver Blood Promise, 100% check out Blackfire Blade. If you have not, jump into Silver Blood Promise. You're going to love it, and you're going to have to jump into book 2, and you'll be right here with me. Super excited for book 3. So let's jump into what am I reading for the last week and a few days of November. So I'm going to be jumping into an anthology book. I think I talked about it. It's Dark in Their Minds. So it has a bunch of different horror stories in there. I need some shorter stories to kind of like prep me for December, because I got some big chonkers I'm going to be going through and reading in December. So I'm going to be reading these anthology stories, getting excited, going to be able to run through these very quickly. Super excited to jump into that one. The second book that I'm going to be going through and reading, so that's an ebook. The physical book I'm going to be reading is Two Kinds of Strangers by Steve Kavanaugh. I mentioned this before. I love the Eddie Flynn series. It is about a lawyer who used to be a con artist, and the similarities between being a con artist and a lawyer is very interesting. But the author is, I don't know if he's still practicing as a lawyer, um, or if he used to be. I'm not sure his career path. Um, but the courtroom scenes, it's very real, and that's what I do love about this story. It does lean towards a lot of the thriller side, but the specifics of the courtrooms and the processes are actually real, and I'm a big fan of that. I love it. So super excited to jump into Two Kinds of Strangers. The last thing about these books, if you have not read Steve Kavanaugh, even though this is, I think, book 7 or 8 in the Eddie Flynn series, what's great about these stories is you can pick up any books as a standalone. So you don't have to read the series in chronological order to get what's happening. Each book is a different case. Does it help to kind of understand the characters by starting at the beginning and going forward? Of course it is. But you can pick up any of these books and enjoy them for the ride that they are. So if you haven't checked out Steve Kavanaugh, go through and check him out. He's fantastic, but I'm super excited to jump into Two Kinds of Strangers by Steve Kavanaugh. The my book haul. Let's jump into the book haul. So I have 3 physical books and I got a few ebooks that I want to go through and talk about. So we'll start with the ebooks first. So I ended up getting Tethered to Darkness by the great Matt Falcon. This is an ARC book, and I really do appreciate you sending me this, Matt. I do have a conversation with Matt coming up in December, I think, first few weeks of December. So I'm going to try to go through and read his book before then. It might be me reading just a few chapters before we jump into that conversation, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I've been talking with Matt online for a little while now, and he's fantastic. So a little bit about what the Tethered to Darkness is about. In Odin City, where relentless sands devour the land outside, Shen is a reluctant heir to a dark legacy. His father, revered as the immortal vessel of the gods, holds sway over this dying world. But when Shen's mother reveals whispers of hidden secrets that lie in this wasteland, Shen's life starts to unravel. Shen's is fueled with a burning need for answers, and he embarks on a journey beyond the city's walls into the unforgiven wasteland. And alongside of him, he has some friends, and they encounter a darkness that wants to go through and consume this world. And as rebellion ignites and the darkness looms, Shen must confront his father's tyranny and master a power born of love and rage to save his world or watch it burn. This sounds so epic, so cool. It gives off a post-apocalyptic feel to it based off reading reading the description. So I'm excited to go through and jump into Tethered to Darkness by Matt Falcon. The next one is an arc that I got from the publisher. Thank you so much for sending me this. Is Turn Off the Lights by Jackie Walters. On an isolated Eastern Shore, Virginia, Edith is a healer, a woman of knowledge, and a woman watched. Shadows move where they shouldn't. Whispers creep through the darkness. Terrified, she has opened her home to the devil, and Edith makes a desperate choice. On the other hand, you have Claire, who doesn't believe in ghosts until she returns home to care for her dying father and finds her childhood house listening. And as one sleepless night bleeds into the next, she becomes convinced something is stirring beneath the floorboards, something that has been waiting a long time to rise. Is the house haunted? What compels this darkness? And as this danger mounts, Edith and Claire will discover they need each other to survive, but they're separated by 400 years and time is running out for them both. So this sounds very interesting, and I'm really curious how much I'm going to enjoy this one, to be all honest with you. So I'm hoping it's going to be better than my expectations. I'm always weary on stories where it is a separation between decades or hundreds of years between two characters and they have to work together kind of thing. I've always been like kind of taken back and it's not really my thing. But I'm going to jump into this. Maybe this one will surprise me. So let's jump into my physical books. I got the first one was a book that I bought. The next two are books that I received from the authors directly. So we'll jump with what I bought at the bookstore. And this is Lancelot by Giles Christian. So I want to read a little bit more of the what is it called? The author authorian. Anyway, I want to read more of these types of stories in 2026. I can't say words today. Just bear with me. So Lancelot, it's Rome is burning and Britain is dying. Enemies stalk his lands. Into this uncertain world, a boy is cast, an outsider plagued by memories of those he lost. Under the watching eye of Merlin, the boy begins his journey to manhood. He meets another outcast who's wild, proud, and beautiful, and is dazzled by Arthur, a warrior who carries the hopes of people like a flaming torch in the darkness. But these are treacherous times, and the fate of the Britons rests on the sword's edge. This young man becomes a lord of war, loved, hated, admired, and feared, and he is the man forsaken, but not forgotten. He is Lancelot. So super excited to jump into this. I think there's 3 books in the series, and if I enjoy this one, I'm gonna go look for the other ones. But Lancelot by Giles Christian. The next book that I ended up going through and receiving from the author was Credible Threats, a Sam Adams novel by Daniel Myers. This book cover, it looks so cool. Let me make sure I'm not getting a glare to it. There we go. Look at that. I think that looks so cool. The artwork is by Tarzian Book Design. So hats off to y'all. It looks fantastic. But let me tell you a little bit about what this is about. Sam Adams, 16-year-old wizard, has zero interest in saving the world. But staying out of the line of fire isn't an option for wizards. When a new designer drug hits the streets, giving ordinary human magical powers and leaving a trail of bodies in its wakes, it threatens to turn its city of Williamsport's long simmering conflict between the haves and the haves not into a full-scale war. So this sounds epic, sounds a lot of fun, and I am super excited to jump into this. Thank you so much, Daniel, for sending me this book, and I'm definitely going to try to read this very soon in 2026. So thank you again. The next one is a book that I've been patiently waiting for and been in constant contact with these amazing people. So I'm super excited to go through and talk about The Sapphire Hearts. Look at that, by 3 Scribes. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover. And if I'm not mistaken, this is by it's by the great and powerful Jeff Brown, the one that makes the coolest covers. So super cool. Look at that spine. Look at the back. It is so gorgeous. They also went through and sent me they signed it because they're awesome. And they also went through and sent me a beautiful bookmark as well. And went right there. Look at that. Super nice. I appreciate them so much for sending me this. So I'm going to go through and tell you a little bit about this book. Allure longs to revive her wasting homeland, but everything she's been taught suggests the path is nothing but myth and legends. That is, until a vision from a founding dragon affirms her as the fated novel, the one who will restore the power centers of the world. Now Allure and her assembled group, a noble born, a wind harnessing tamer, a fire starter in love, and a wide-eyed innocent, a deal-making reptilian and a mysterious dreamwalker must align their powers and embark on a quest spanning not only a waking world full of dangerous men and terrifying beasts, but an even more dream world where an immortal being with a grudge threatens to steal their soul. Epic. Sounds so cool. I am super excited to jump into this world. This has probably been one of the books I've been actively waiting on to go through and read. So I'm definitely going to be reading this one very, very soon. Probably one of the first books I'm going to read in 2026, and super excited to go through and jump to this. So thank you so much again, Three Scribes, for going through and sending me this fantastic copy of your book. I am greatly appreciated. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about what is happening next week. So on Monday at 8 p.m., I'm interviewing Adrian Gibson and team to discuss Book of Spores anthology. I am super excited for this conversation. I went through, and when I heard about this Kickstarter, I wanted to give all the money I could to go through and support these amazing authors. So if you are not familiar with Adrian Gibson and the Book of Spores, I'll have the information in the description below where you can go through and check out their Kickstarter and go through and support these amazing authors. But definitely jump on Monday at 8 p.m. We're going to have such a fantastic conversation where we're going to be talking about their books, their process, and all that fun stuff we like to go through and talk about during these discussions. On Tuesday, I'll be reviewing Black Wind by F. Paul Wilson. I talked about this, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago on how much I love this book. So I'm super hyped to go through and have the review coming out on Tuesday. So go through and check that amazing book out. You're not going to want to go through and miss that review. And then on Friday, we're going to go through and talk about everything that happens from now to next Friday. Jumping into the Indie Author Spotlight for this week, I wanted to go through and spotlight someone who I keep hearing about. And I don't know if it's just me or if you've been hearing the same thing, but how fantastic this author is and his amazing stories. This is Andrew Watson. He is the author of the Shadow Binders trilogy. And I've been hearing nothing but amazing things about this book series. I've heard that people have gone through and compared this to Stranger Things, Aladdin, and Venom. Three most random things, and blending that together sounds so cool and so intriguing. So I want to go through and tell you a little bit about book one. And this is a book about Naya, who just wants to survive on this harsh city streets. But when a portal into a dark realm is her path to freedom, she must find her way across a treacherous world filled with demons. Then we have Ra, a mercenary, has a shadow dark enough for two, and in his quest to discover the nature of the creatures living in shadows, Ra collides with old friends, new enemies, and stumbling into an ancient mystery that could mean the end of the world as they know it. And all the while, a darkness stirs and rebellion threatens, heaved by a man who promises justice will reign. Now, this sounds so epic and intense, and the description for this and the comparison makes me want to go through and buy this immediately. And if you're in the same boat, I will have all the information for this book in the description below. So go through it and check out Andrew's website and this book. You're not going to go through and want to miss out on this amazing book series. So jumping into the BookTuber Spotlight, I want to go through and spotlight Raven from the Only the Best Fantasy Novels. And Raven is one of my favorite booktubers on YouTube. And I know you're asking, why? Why is that? Because Raven's primary videos on YouTube is book reviews. And I love book reviews. And I find a lot of books that I love and I enjoy from him. And if I am on the fence about reading a book, I'll just go to Only the Best Fantasy Novels YouTube channel, guarantee he has a review out there, and I take his recommendation on if I need to go through and read the book. He is literally a machine, and he puts my reading to shame. The man reads so much. I thought I read a lot, but I read nothing compared to Robin. And I trust his judgment and opinion so much. And I cannot recommend enough that you go through and check out only the best fantasy novels. You will be impressed. You will be enthralled with the information you'll go through and receive from this amazing channel. Everything will be in the description below. Please go through and check out only the best fantasy novels. You will not be disappointed. All right, so that's it for this week. Let me know what you're reading, watching, or grabbing in your hauls this week. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You know what to do. Till I see you in the next one, stay overbooked.